it's time for the final event for the NRG Series 5K Trial Pioneer. We're in the finals now, and not only are we in the finals, we get to watch the old hotness versus the new hotness. George, I'm Dominic Stryker. That's George Jabor. Welcome to the finals.
No blue-white control anywhere to be found anymore. It's done. It's over.
It tried, right? It extended all of the rounds here for us in the booth. It extended all the rounds for the people there at NRG. But now it's time for speed to take over.
Honestly, they got a lot farther than I expected them to. There was a lot of blue-white control in the top 8. There was a lot in the top, 1632. Did really well at this tournament, but here in the finals, nowhere to be found.
Right. I mean, we can take a peek at this bracket. We know what happened on the one side. Zoe was able to take it down with what I called the old hotness, the Hogak of old that was this Boros Convoke deck. But the right side, you can see that Reed with this Geoform Geological Appraiser combo deck was able to take it down against Julian on Abzan Greasefang. George, I have to ask bluntly.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Appraiser deck now that we're seeing it entering the finals of this tournament?
I think it's pretty sick. I think it's pretty cool. A little bit on the clunky side, right? It's not completely impenetrable. It's not the new Hogak or the new,
not yet.
Oko or whatever. Maybe people will continue to refine it. I think there's very, very powerful mages out there, powerful brewers.
I'm
excited.
It doesn't
seem to be like a huge issue at the moment. But I'm ready to eat those words.
Right. And I think the part that's going to be really important is, we're seeing it showcased here on the big stage. Isn't there an RC coming in Pioneer in a couple of weeks from now too?
I think there were some this weekend.
Right.
And I think it did pretty well overall. I'll have to go back and check what the results were, but I was even hearing some rumblings.
I saw some players in this tournament choosing their decks this morning based on some of the results we had seen yesterday.
Which is, it's very wise to do. I mean, people who just played the deck at a very high stakes tournament, maybe the results are worth looking at.
And I remind you before, this is going to be speed. Reed, our number 2 seed, has yet to lose a match today here in the finals with this 4-color Geological Appraiser deck starting on Theros Standard Classic Temple of Malice.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very fast finals. Both of these decks go blisteringly fast. They both can kill around turn 4. And it looks like, was Reed the one that was on the play, the higher seed? Yep.
Yes. And we are going to know very quickly how long this game is going to last. Because if Reed has untapped land, make a treasure with one of those discard effects, we may have a turn 3 combo. And Zoe with very little reactionary cards, any removal proper in their main deck to stop the combo. So step 1 from Reed is this untapped land.
Yeah, no Thalias in the deck anywhere. Only one get lost in the sideboard. So she's going to have to maybe try to steal this game 1.
And this is a way to start this Gleeful Demolition. Have our 5-drop Zoe. We know how important these have been all day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one is it?
Dang.
This is pressure.
That's the good one here in this scenario. This is what you want.
We have 12 power in play now, right? We have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and this 4, 4. But here's that faded discard, make a treasure. If Reed has untapped land appraiser, that could just be the game.
Question mark?
Step 1 is untapped land. There it is. That's the combo. It's time to see it. If you're not aware, it's here in the finals. Glasspool Mimic. This becomes an appraiser. It has been cast and will discover 4/3. Read from the top. Another one. Copy it. Another appraiser. Keep going.
So notably, while we're still cascading here, or not cascading, I want to say discovering, it's not like Cascade because it's when it enters the battlefield.
Right. These don't care about entering.
So all these copies are going to trigger the discover, and now we're going to Eldritch Evolution
into the dinosaur.
Giant dinosaur, and then do the chain from 6 mana onward again.
Right, because this card will still discover for 5, but the only card it can hit is the appraisers that cost 4.
Yeah.
So if you do then hit the appraiser, you can just keep going and discover once again. Then if you hit an evolution, you can turn that back into a dinosaur. Once we have all of these in play, we can use our 4th evolution to turn it into a Doomscar Titan to give all these creatures haste and +1. You can see the Doomscar Titan just went by there in the pile. And very importantly, you also saw a green card which was Galta, the new 8-mana one from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, that if you somehow get the Doomscar Titan in your hand, you can grab the Galta and put it directly into play that way. So already very well insulated, as we can see Reed ripping through currently 6 Discover creatures in play. And most likely now on the hunt for an evolution. If we use this evolution and sacrifice our Carnosaur, and we're going to use it here, we're going to sacrifice this, maybe on the hunt now for this Doomscar Titan, to put this away on turn number 3 of the finals of this Pioneer 5K.
There
and
it is.
There's the Titan.
Yep. Easy.
Plus
and
one,
I think
plus
that's
Zoe.
going to be plenty of damage to be lethal.
Zoe, if you could just block for me, I would. That's the great feeling of just scoot that 4/4 forward just in case. Checking on the text of the Doomscar Titan, they all have +1. They all have haste. Block here.
Solitude? No,
Not
Solitude.
quite in this format, and that is game number 1 to the new hotness, taking down the Hogak that we do believe Boros Convoke to be. But it's great to see like these two newer decks to the scene rising to the top here in the finals. And the best way to showcase this is to show off the beautiful deck list to the people.
Yeah, I mean, that was really fast. And Zoe's going to try to have to one-up that here in game 2 with the deck that we've seen a couple of times now. But maybe bringing in different cards because we're not going against blue-white control for the third time.
So there's these 4 Forge Devils, not here for today. These wedding announcements, these are for when you're trying to have a grindy matchup, which this is not. Rending Volley, which can only take down blue and white creatures. Unfortunately, a red-based combo. We have Red Cap Melee, which can deal 4 damage.
Not quite enough to kill a giant dinosaur.
Right, so it'll depend on where the combo starts. We might be able to interact with that. The Kutzil's Flanker, not quite for this matchup. We do have that Jegantha floating in the sideboard. The Redane could come up, might be just worth bringing in just in case, but it's not going to tag anything besides being a 2/3. And the last one is that Get Lost, where at least you can interact when the chain starts, but that's your one shot.
Yeah, I think Zoe might be leaning on these main deck giant killers, chop downs.
Yes.
To do a lot of heavy lifting.
When we're on the
also
play.
Just killing them.
Yeah, we had talked about this when we were talking about the blue-white control players bringing in Mystical Dispute. If your answer costs 3 mana, when you're on the play, you're good to go. If your answer costs 3 on the draw, you're already dead.
Right, and honestly, if we take a look at Reed's deck, I don't even know if he sideboards at all.
Oh, same 60 situation?
I mean, these are expensive, giant sorcery speed, near irrelevant spells. Chandra is, a sort of board wipe of sorts, but for 6 mana, I think you're better off just mulliganing to a turn 3 Appraiser.
My one is I might look at these Consigned to Oblivion just to have a 2 mana bounce spell in case one of these like cards gets out of hand.
You can have that, yeah.
But this is
instead
open
of like
deck
a 6 mana Stone Rain,
right? And you just know that Zoe has like the one Get Lost and maybe a couple of Red Cap Melees alongside the Duelist that they have in the main deck, whose Adventure half can possibly answer your combo creature alongside those Giant Killer. There aren't a lot of answers, so we might just be able to lean back, possibly same 60, and try to win game 2 or game number 3 to take it home.
Just run it back. Yeah, I think if I'm Reed, I'm feeling okay. I just have to be confident in my mulligans and play tight.
Yes, I mean, we can talk about the importance of mulligan for days on days on days. You said it last game. We are looking for that quality over that quantity, especially with a combo deck like Reed. It might be easy still to put it together. They 5-card hand. You just need 3 lands, a discard for a treasure, and the Appraiser. So
I mean,
we
it's
can
a
mulligan
card
pretty
combo. That's the crazy part about it. It's not so much that it's insanely powerful or you can't disrupt it. It's the fact that you can just win from an empty board. It's just one card that you need to start the whole chain.
Yeah, and I know to many folks that may seem like a downside to this deck. A part of it is also they need that one single card to start it, and that's your best spot to try to interact with them. If you take a Geological Appraiser off the board, if they hit Evolution, there's nothing for them to Evolution into, and if they hit a Mimic, there's nothing for them to copy. and it all just stops and crumbles there. And it's hard when a deck is new to the scene. We've seen this happen before, that it might completely dominate an introductory tournament because so much of the field wasn't ready or wasn't ready yet to get like the last few pieces, that this might be the learning experience we all need and a great weekend for Reed.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if a deck like Boros Convoke adapts its sideboard a little bit more to defeat these these new combo decks, Geological Appraiser, Quintorius.
Yeah, our co-commentators
maybe they
earlier
just continue to ignore it and just try to race it out.
Yeah, Zoe played against this deck earlier today, and our co-commentators this morning were talking about Zoe's plan. Most likely is just get them dead, right? Use your aggression and push through. But some Boros Convoke decks have started moving to having Roiling Vortex in the board. Because if your opponent casts a spell for free, they take 5. And they don't have the time to combo when you're doing that.
Nope. And I think that's the type of adjustment that we'll probably be seeing going forward. But not today. I think maybe Zoe was hoping to do a lot of dodging and, like you said, just steamrolling.
And Zoe here is the one mulling down to 5, trying to find the perfect hand to apply a large amount of pressure and most likely have that one piece to try to break up this combo. Very dedicated to be able to know that you need to go as deep as you can to find that perfect hand to try to stake your claim in this game.
And knowing Reed, I think, has kept 6. Is that correct?
It feels like it.
You can't be too excited if you're Zoe, knowing, okay, well, he kept a hand that does something. Knowing that I can potentially win on turn 3 or 4, he must feel confident enough that he can outrace me. So maybe a tight spot here. And maybe
everybody
some of the mulligans.
Strap in. It's time to go fast. And we are going to start with this shock for Sacred Foundry. Thraben Inspector. Get our creature. Get our piece of resource in play. I believe I even already saw that demolition. This is the plan for this Boros deck.
All right. Tap land. Scry to the bottom.
Right. Reed's deck deck able to very well use these temples, because the early turn they don't have spells to cast anyways, so they might as well fix and sculpt their draws for the future.
All right, we got a turn 2 5 drop. I mean,
and it's the Loxodon again.
This is the speed that we need to defeat Reed.
This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 power. Reed will be dead before we assemble the combo at this rate.
I don't know, because Zoe's going to get 1 attack. If Reed's got
you're right.
ramp spell into untap 3 or 4 drop.
Talk about speed out of both of the decks from both of these players.
Mm-hmm.
Reed with another temple. That says we don't have the turn 3.
That's a frown from Reed.
And then not the best feeling after seeing the card off the top either. And giving it a good long think.
You got to wonder what he kept then. I mean, if he kept something that he thought could win, maybe he was hoping for a little bit of a slower start from Zoe. This is top tier.
Right, but we saw Zoe puts in the work on this deck and is putting the work in this game. Found this 5 that's much better. Reed realizes he's dead, and that's it for this game too.
Try again. Yep, try again. That's not. We didn't do it. We didn't do it.
Reed didn't take a 3rd turn that game. Just did the math, figured out that I can't kill you on 3. You'll kill me on your 4. We're done here. This game's over.
And Zoe's deck is not a combo deck, but it really does feel like one. I mean, like the fact that you can just end the game if your opponent doesn't interact with you feels very to the essence and nature of what a combo deck is. It just happens
people
to do
maybe be
damage.
A little pedantic. Maybe people would say that it's a synergy, right? This is very aggressive synergy. But we feel if I do this and then do this and win the game, that's a combo, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, we saw a very similar win against Jesse in the last round with Zoe. I mean, turn 1 creature, turn 2, 5 drop, turn 3, the hands are shaking. I mean, I got nothing. You did the combo. You did the thing.
And this is the all importance of Reed not dropping a match yet today with this deck. Got to be on the play game 1, won that game, lost game 2, but that means this final deciding game, you get to be on the play with your possible turn 3 combo deck.
I think you mulligan aggressively.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Don't
already
play
here
with
in the finals,
fate.
right? It's time to go for it.
Yeah, don't keep an okay hand. Don't try to go to turn 4, turn 5.
hmm
Just
And
mulligan.
important to see out of Zoe, we kept a 5 that was just ready to put the game away. That I also didn't see them bringing any of the removal that we had seen. So this matchup almost feels like it could be determined by who goes first. You
Oh,
said
don't say that.
Convoke?
You're gonna get all the Pioneer people talking, all
Yeah,
the Pioneer haters talking.
but the Convoke deck is
Oh,
fast.
Pioneer's a play draw format. I mean, these decks are fast. I mean, if neither
hmm
of them brought removal or interaction, is that a fault of the format? Is that a fault of deck building? Right? I
Sure.
mean, Zoe came with 1 get lost. You're allowed to play more. She came
Okay,
with
okay.
0 Thalias. You're allowed to play Thalia in this deck. And
Yeah.
so same for Reed. He didn't come with any, sweltering suns or any sort of like creature really cheap board wipe
Yeah.
damage. So
It's
if
difficult for
Zoe's
them.
if Zoe's able to just be on the play and win, is it because she was on the play, or is it because Reed didn't do anything
Mhm.
for turn 1 and 2 by deck
Right.
design?
I think when asked the question, I would say it may not be determined fully by play draw, but on if Zoe draws removal, right? Because if they just are able to leave up a point of mana and get that single point of interaction, they'll be able to just push through with the massive board that they build. So if Zoe's in a situation where
Yeah.
you can keep 7 or 6, and most of those are what we just did, and one of those that piece of interaction, that might be the decider versus who's truly on the play or who's on the draw here.
Yeah, and to be fair, the fact that Reed is on the play matters, does matter.
Always.
Being able to turn 2 ramp into the turn 3 combo while Zoe still has barely developed her board does put him at, or at least the threat of being able to do that
Of
puts him
course.
at a huge advantage, because what's Zoe gonna do? Leave up mana all game in her aggro deck? I mean, that's also death in essence.
Yes, I understand. And we see both these players understanding the importance of this match, the importance of their opening hand, cutting down, figuring out how to mulligan. Reed's deck, I feel, on a 6 or on a 5, mulligans beautifully, right? You are just
Yeah.
trying to put together 3 mana sources that discard for a treasure and the Geological Appraiser. You can pretty easily go to 5 if you can find a perfect. Zoe, we've seen go down to 5, but has to sculpt that perfect feel. But both seem to mulligan well.
Yeah, it does feel like with Convoke, if you have just 1 drops, your deck's not fast enough or powerful enough. But then if you mulligan too much and you have like a 5 drop and not enough ways to convoke it out or enough lands to cast them, and those are dead in your hand too. So you do need this balance, this kind of critical mass of A plus B. Not so much a combo, but like you said earlier, synergy. You can't necessarily mulligan to 4 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
With Reed's deck, it is almost more similar to Tron or something where you know what? All I need is the mana that I need, and then 1 payoff. All I need is 1 pay. It's just a 1 card payoff.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
It's one of those decks. I'm usually drawn to these style of decks, so not to shock when I'm drawn to this 4-color deck as well, where you can sculpt most of your game based on your opening hand.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe's deck functions in the same way, right? You draw up that I'm going to do this, then I can get these tokens and I can convoke this out. Both of these decks very reliant on the importance of that opening hand. So Reed making grimacing faces at this 5.
Send it back. If that's the face you're making, send it back.
I mean, the only card I can see is we drew the Doomscar Tyrant. That's at least the easiest one to throw to the bottom.
All
You know where that
cross
is.
our fingers.
And starting on that temple, right? You can kind of undo a little of your mulligan just by cleaning up what the top of your deck will be. Allowing you to use this scry.
Have you received a looking at extra cards infraction at all
Oh.
today? Okay.
Oh, did we see the second card on the scry?
And yeah.
Is that what's being questioned? It's possible. I think so.
We'll see. We're just going to check on this real quick.
Oh, is this the card you're scrying right now?
I'll tell you what, long day, long
This is the card
stress.
that was seen.
It's hard out there. And these players doing absolutely wonderful. You can see they're determining, I've seen this top card and I know these bottoms. We'll just randomize the rest of it. Then those will go back on the bottom and we'll finish resolving this scry.
There we go.
Easy peasy, back to the aggro.
Back onto the bottom.
wild swing that is going to be this final game here for our 5K Pioneer trial. Taking a peek at that top card. And like I was saying, this kind of helps with the mulligan. If the card on top was a dud, you can at least get rid of it. But we see Reed here keeping it, showing that that card is going to be important to me taking down this game.
Maybe it's a land that he needs desperately, or maybe one piece of the ramp plus payoff that he's looking for.
I know if I'm keeping a hand, I'm much more willing to try to dig for lands than I am for my like 4 of combo piece. So you could very well be right that we kept a hand that's able to have the pieces and we just need to be able to cast them now. And the untapped mountain screams I can have the treasure and the combo next turn. Zoe with our lone Thraben Inspector plays our second land. And I wonder if we're already entering that thought process of, do I need to hold up a removal spell just in case here? And there's the Gleeful Demolition.
We saw that Zoe did have red cap melee in her sideboard.
Oh, yes.
So that's one point of interaction that she might have. Oh, shields are down.
Yeah, and I think I saw a point of interaction in their hand. Maybe she's understanding that you mulligan so low, I need to make sure that I can kill you, that running the risk that I'm going to give you a turn.
Yeah, there was a giant killer, I believe, that was in her hand, but I don't know if there was a third land. We'll see if Reed can pull it off. If not, Zoe might be pulling away with this one. That's a lot of power and a very broad board that she's building.
When you see the Magic player doing the piano fingerings, doing the math on the table, that's when it's time to be terrified. As we find an Ornithopter and the Imodane's Recruiter.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage.
Right, so, even though we had the Knight-Errant this time, instead of the Loxodon, we have this one that found these, so it's going to be able to make up that slight loss of power on the creatures, because the Recruiter's going to be able to give it right back. But here's the treasure.
We've got almost all the pieces of Exodia.
Okay. I feel Reed has the Appraiser in hand, but might be missing the last untapped land. Drop return. That's a tap land. Zoe, this was a calculated decision. I believe has a point of 1 mana interaction.
Oh, no, he has lands in hand. I think it's only lands in hand.
Oh, that's... Now we definitely need to sculpt the top then. All right, to the bottom it goes. Zoe untapping.
That's
Monsters
huge.
board, a Recruiter and an Ornithopter, at least those that we know available.
This is plenty from Zoe's side to win the game. She does not have to tap anymore and can just keep up the giant killer, the chop down.
Because on board we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you're saying even if we win this in 3 turns, if we keep up the point of interaction, that's all we need.
It's a point of interaction at least.
Oh my goodness.
It might not be the point of interaction that she needs, but...
There's that 8 damage coming through the first part of putting this together. And now we know that at least the Ornithopter and the Recruiter are booming in hand.
That's a dinosaur.
We're dead. Or do we have a turn still here?
That's 5 mana.
But the Dino's 6. This is our last moment. We're taking a bolt to the face off this Duelist adventure side.
Was there Imodanes in hand?
Yes, we found it off this Knight-Errant.
That's lethal.
We're going to do the math, play the Ornithopter. Every point's going to be important here. Imodane's Recruiter, +1, and haste to the board. The monsters coming in, all of them. Quick count.
Nothing. That's it.
And that's the game to Zoe Riederman.
Well
2 games to 1. The old hotness taking it down, giving Reed their first lost match of this tournament, but taking down what may have been a new Titan into our format. But this Boros Convoke deck is still here and is still fighting back. And we'll get everything squared away. We're going to talk to Zoe here in a couple of moments. But, George, that was exciting.
That was definitely something. A really, really strong showing from Zoe. An unfortunate series of mulligans, I think, for Reed, on the other hand. Maybe with the scries and drawing just straight lands there. I'm not sure what happened, but definitely more stumbling than you're allowed to have against Boros Convoke.
Right. Yeah. We may have been able to stumble a couple of times throughout the course of the tournament, some other matches during the day, but Zoe on Boros Convoke is not the time to be able to have hands like that or slight stumbles. And she truly felt like taking calculated risks, figuring out exactly when to strike, doing the math, doing the little finger dance on the table, figuring out exactly what it's going to take it down. And they just did so.
Yeah, it's just really impressive to see a deck like Boros Convoke still take down a big tournament like this when people are trying to do fancy things with Blue White Lotus, with the new combo decks, Blue White Control, Rakdos mid range, whatever. People are trying to really do some wild things, but
Yes.
Something as simple as make some creatures and attack with them, you're dead.
Right.
Can take down an entire tournament.
Just the power. This deck got a couple of toys over the past little while, got this Gleeful Demolition alongside that Knight-Errant, and once this deck took off, it truly took off. That's how it felt in the stratosphere of playing Pioneer, and that's how it feels playing against it.
Yeah, I mean, it's blazingly fast. A lot of the pieces of interaction that people typically bring to a Pioneer event, like Get Lost, like 1-for-1 removal, even board wipes, just don't cut it. I mean, the deck is fast.
Yeah, and we saw people tried, both against the Appraiser deck and against this Convoke deck, but they fought back tooth and nail over and over and over again. Sometimes putting together those perfect draws and sometimes putting together those scrappy draws. But these two decks definitely look like decks that are here to stay, ones that you want to be aware of, especially if you're trying to prepare for these big events in the future.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought with 3 copies in the top 8, one of the geological Appraiser decks would have taken it down. At some point, one of them wouldn't stumble or just, it's a numbers game. But all 3 of them were dispatched.
Yeah, and I think a part of that might be like the cream all rising to the top in a tournament structuring, right? You're all winning games to get here to these like end brackets. And also, the more games you're playing, the more games you're winning, the more you know about what's going on. And then you can start fighting back against it. Maybe you weren't sure round 1, but you sure know in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. And not surprising to see what the top 8 was comprised of, or who the top 8 was comprised of, and not a surprise at all to see Zoe take it down. And I think she's ready for the interview.
We're gonna take it down real quick. Zoe, how you doing? Zoe, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. And I'm
yeah. Now's the moment to take that breath, right? I mean,
the whole
we saw folks huddled all around you while you're figuring out the math of Boros Convoke fighting against this incredible new combo deck.
Yeah.
First, how does it feel to win this event, and how did it feel to play that game?
Winning the event feels really good because while I've won at Team NRG last year, I haven't won an individual before. And also, like, I had no top 8s this year. Like, I played all the events and I was just like doing super poorly. So like the fact that I just like was able to go all the way felt really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, congrats. That was, I mean, no surprise to see you take it down. You were playing really well in each of the matches that we were commentating, especially against, Blue White Control. Here again, you were making some really interesting choices, especially in the mulligans. Can you talk us through some of your mulligan decisions there, mulligan thought process against the combo deck there in the last match?
Yeah, against the combo deck, I have pieces of interaction, including Heartflame Duelist in the main, Red Cap melee and Get Lost in the board, and sometimes Giant Killer for Carnosaur, but like usually that doesn't work. So I try, like post board, I try really hard to, if I'm on the play, I want a fast Loxodon draw. If I'm on the draw, I want interaction. And so the risk in game 3 there was like super, like I was on 6. My opponent was also mulling. So I was like, okay, my opponent's also mulling. They don't have the nut. So I'm going to keep this thing with 3 mana interaction, which doesn't work if they hit me turn 3 on the play. Because I just don't have the mana to cast it. But I was like, I have my lands, I have my interaction, I have kind of a clock. Like, I needed to draw into a clock, and I did. And I kept it hoping that he just didn't turn 3 me, and then he didn't turn 3 me, and I was like, okay, I got this.
Right. you calculate, right? You ran the numbers, you ran the risk. I'd assume that's what you had to do with this Boros Convoke deck
Yeah.
all day. I mean, we even just out of the matches that we saw. And how does it feel to take down the what I was calling the new hotness with the old hotness of Boros Convoke? You clearly believe this deck still has legs playing it here in this event.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of gave up on it. Like a few
Mm.
weeks ago when they were like, "Oh, Convoke's the best deck," and then Discover happened, and they're like, "Convoke can never beat Discover." And I still don't think it's a good matchup for Convoke, but I've sort of adapted by adding the Heartflame Duelist to my main deck. That
Yeah,
makes
absolutely.
it so like I do have interaction for their combo even pre-board. So I think that card made a big difference.
Yeah. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I was gonna say a deck like Convoke can't necessarily make a ton of adjustments, right? You need a critical mass of a certain density of spells, certain type of spells. So, are there more adjustments that you might be making going forward? Do you feel really happy with the configuration, or yeah, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm pretty. The one thing that I didn't love today was wedding announcement against the blue-white decks, because now that they have Get Lost, it often just like either does nothing or makes a 1/1. So I would investigate replacing that with something to hedge against blue-white, but like the wedding announcements were really good against Rakdos, so like maybe I still want some amount of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
you're kind of figuring out, right? Not only are we having these new Lost Caverns of Ixalan cards come in and create a new deck, but also important pieces. You were playing Get Lost, the blue white deck was,
Yeah.
and we have to kind of unlearn behavior. Like, oh, this is always good in this matchup, but now they have new toys.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unbelievable. It was great to watch you playing all day. We saw the importance of the 5 drops out of this Boros Convoke deck. We saw the importance of someone skilled like yourself playing it. I'm so glad to see it like paying off this year's worth of effort to allow you to really take it down and have this individual trophy. We can't say congrats enough times.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
congratulations, Zoe. Very, very happy for you.
Thanks.
Glad to see you take it down.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Zoe. We're glad to have that conversation. Big shout out to all of you that are here watching us here at the Nerd Rage Gaming Championship Series. Not only did we have the amazing tournament today, people qualified for champs yesterday. A lot of stuff was shaken up on that leaderboard throughout the course of everything that we saw today. So not only was there a great tournament won by Zoe today, but there's one even on the horizon too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Champs has in store for us, what decks people bring, who takes it down in the end. Dom, it was really fun commentating with you. So props to you, props to us.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to everyone at Nerd Rage, everyone doing work there in the building, the people here on the production staff, everyone helped with the commentating, and all of you watching at home. You know, there were struggles yesterday, but we really fought through them today and got to see amazing games of Magic, showing what the format of Pioneer truly can be. I mean, I can't say thanks enough to the audience, and I can't say congrats enough to the winner.
Yeah, congrats to Flesher from yesterday and congrats to Zoe today.
Yeah. Last reminder, remember there's all of the buttons you can hit. There's going to be huge events coming up next year. There's a huge event in Champs coming up pretty soon. So follow, subscribe, all of your money. We really appreciate it. It would really help out everyone at Nerd Rage Gaming. We are going to continue. We are going to grow, and we are going to continue to fight next year and bring both Magic and the Gathering to all of you folks out there. Any last words, George?
No, I think I really like where Pioneer's at. I really like where Modern's at. This was a very fun weekend. It was great to see everybody competing. It's great to see the people take it down. And I think that's all I've got.
Perfect. This has been the NRG 5K Pioneer Trials. We really appreciate it. Remember, it's not just about the Magic, it's also about the Gathering. You all have a great one and see you all again soon.